Welcome to my video, and this is how sexual orientation holds us back. Now you may be asking yourself, what exactly is sexual orientation? How do we define it? Well, one definition that we can conclude is from Dimbrov, a world-renowned philosopher and professor. They think, in their take on sexual orientation, is a relation between a subject's own sex or gender and the sex or gender of the person they're attracted to. It essentially means what my gender or sex determines what their sex or gender, whoever I'm attracted to, would be. So, an example, if I am straight woman, my gender is woman, my sex is female, and I am attracted to male. I am attracted to the opposite sex. Their gender is man, and their sex is male. And I am attracted to that. And therefore, my sexual orientation would be straight. Now that's just an example. Dimbrov also brings up Haslinger in their book on gender and race, and the distinction between the two, and what they are. And they bring up 3 projects that are included in that book. The projects include conceptual, analytical, and engineering. However, Dimbrov focuses on more of the engineering part. The purpose of the concept of X, if we need to improve or replace the existing concept to realize what purpose we want this concept to fulfill. It essentially means, what is the purpose of this said concept? Does the concept need improvements? Does it need to be changed in order to understand the original definition of what we perceive the concept to be? A little confusing, but I'll dive in more throughout the video. Now, taking into consideration and account of what we know about the general consensus of what sexual orientation is, or what it may be. Furthermore, we're going to talk about sexual orientation versus sexual druthers. Sexual orientation is essentially the general consensus of what you're attracted to. Is it male, is it female, or is it non-binary? Is it man, is it woman, or non-binary? Now, sexual druthers is way more specific. It isn't generalized. It's traits. It's personality-wise. It's funniness. It's eye color, hair color. It's a specific way or a specific thing that makes you attracted to someone.
Let's say Bob likes bread. But there are all types of bread in the world. So what bread do you really like, Bob? Although Bob likes bread and loves bread, there's a specific type of bread he loves. Same with sexual orientation versus sexual druthers.
Now, bringing it into that point, I take from Aristotle's Categories book. And Aristotle essentially talks about secondary substance versus primary substance. Secondary substance is very specific. It attaches specific qualifications or characteristics to something, to a substance, which essentially is sexual druthers, right? Now, primary substance. Primary substance is something that cannot be affirmed or predicted. It's too generalized. It can't be affirmed, it can't be predicted. And that is where sexual orientation comes in. So yeah, someone may be attracted to a male or a female or a non-binary, but it doesn't predict anything. It doesn't affirm anything. It just affirms who they may essentially be attracted to, but not who they are as a person, not their looks, their eye color, their hair, if they wear glasses, if they have braces. It doesn't refer to that. It refers to more of a general consensus. That's what Aristotle talks about, and I feel like the connection between the two is very similar. Secondary and primary substance, sexual druthers versus sexual orientation. The two connect. The four connect. Now, bringing into my point, we're going to talk about bidimensional disposition. Actually pronounced bidimensional dispositionalism. A big word, so we're going to stick to saying BD throughout the video. Whatever categories we place within sexual orientation, their ascription should be based on the sexes and genders of the person one is disposed to. Essentially, what that means is, what if person A is attracted to person B? And in order to arrive at person A's sexuality, what gender or sex does person B have to be? What must their gender or sex be in order to arrive at their sexual orientation? Now, it challenges so many things, because if I was to take person A, a cis, heterosexual male, and they are sexually attracted to a F to M, female to male, trans men, what would that make this person? They aren't bi, and they aren't straight, but they aren't gay either, because this person is also attracted to cis women. However, there seems to be some attraction to a trans male. That is what BD essentially is. It challenges the boxes that we as society has placed onto others. What we perceive. Taking from the book Appearance and Reality by Russell, how we view something can affect our perceptions of it. We view things that isn't the norm and immediately put into boxes to understand it. The way we take things affect the reality we perceive. How we understand something is essentially from how we see it. And the views that we see essentially helps us arrive at a point. It helps us perceive something to be, to make it our reality. And that perception can vary by each person, and each perception is going to come with a different reality. More onto that, it can further reiterate the idea that the moment we see something, it has to be understood in order for us to view it as socially acceptable. And if we don't understand it, then therefore it is not socially acceptable. But that shouldn't be the case at all. Now, bring me back to the title, how sexual orientation holds us back, how these labels and these categories and these restrictions on society and who people want to love and have sexual attraction to holds us back. It restricts us. It further stops us from progressing as a society, because we are too focused and caught up on what someone else is doing and what their sexual orientation may be to further progress and understand what other problems we genuinely may have. Now, according to Kant talks about how solely relying on a concept to make us feel rather than what it could do for us isn't what solidifies a concept. Just because we socially don't understand sexual attraction doesn't mean sexual orientation and labels should exist. It doesn't do anything for us. And without logic or with reason or need, it shouldn't exist at all. It shouldn't exist at all because there is no reason or no need for sexual orientation. It just further puts us into boxes so people can understand what they don't know, what they fear. Here's a case study done by Queensland Human Rights Commission. To further elaborate on this case study that was done, it was essentially a worker who was being discriminated in their workplace, and they made constant complaints to the boss, but nothing was done. And the boss tried to claim that there were plenty of other gay workers and lesbian workers who had no complaints, and that we looked over the complaints and they did something about it. They obviously lied, and the person that faced the discrimination receive financial compensation through courts that took them so long to finally get because of what? Because the employer didn't accept the complaints that was happening. They didn't do anything about it. And I feel as though because someone is being harassed by who they love, that is unacceptable. That is disgusting. Okay? That is nasty. No one should ever have to feel that way, feel uncomfortable in an environment where they're there to get money and go home. I'm going to include a picture of the case details and what exactly it entailed so you guys can get a more of a visual. But I find that disgusting. And the fact that the workers were so bigoted and had so much bigotry and prejudice towards this other worker simply because they were gay and they were open about it. This is why I feel as though no one should have to put themselves out there in order to feel like themselves. They should be able to love who they love, worry-free, discrimination-free. Putting these boxes and labels onto things just further reiterates the idea that we're just all different, and we're not. We're all human, and that's all that matters. Anyways, continue on, Michaela. To further elaborate on Haslinger's words and the project that Dimbroff uses, the engineering project that she mentions in her book, engineering is essentially the purpose of concept X, and if we have to replace or challenge that concept, and I think that's what Dimbroff and I am trying to do. I want to challenge this concept. Is there a way that we can improve on this said concept of sexual orientation and labels? What exactly is it? Why do we need it? Why must it be such a big thing that you're gay, straight, bi, pan, whatever? Why can't you just be? Why can't you just exist? Why must there be hate and discrimination for the fact that you just exist? Because at the end of the day, no matter who we love, no matter who we may see at the end of the night, we're still human who have sexual needs, romantic needs, and all kinds of needs. And therefore, I feel as though we need to make an improvement. And this is why I bring this concept up, because Dimbroff is completely right. We need to challenge this idea and the purpose for this said concept. What is the purpose? Also talking about BD and how we need to challenge the boxes that are put onto people. How someone may not understand what or who they are because of all these labels and boxes and what they're told they should be. Because what if this one person, they attracted to someone who doesn't fit the box that they're put into? Then what? And although I talk much of Dimbroff, I'm also putting a lot of my ideas and opinions out there because I truly believe, and I think it's just for everyone to just freely love who they want and be entitled to who they want to love. And consensually, of course, but anyone is allowed that right, and no one should be penalized or put into boxes or forced to be away in order for people to understand the things that they do. That isn't fair,
and it's unfair to anyone. Although Haslinger's book on gender and sex and race is different, it brings up great points and great projects, and one of the projects, engineering project, perfectly aligns with how I view sexual orientation, how I view that we should challenge this norm that we put onto people and repurpose it, replace it, make it into something new, change it, reinvent, if you will. Anyways.
Now, when we talk about that, it can be a touchy subject because people are afraid to say what they think. People are afraid to say how they may feel. And this video is to break all that stigma and normative views and heteronormative views because things shouldn't have boxes. Humans were designed to be free, to have free thinking and free will. And essentially putting boxes and putting us into categories is essentially what further separates us. We think categories and boxes may put us together and unite us, but it only further separates us.